Hi, welcome to Attainable Green. I'm Jess, and today we're going to do an update on my orchid seedlings. So this is the second round of growing seedlings, and it's about 6 months since I deflasked this whole new set of orchids. And I'm going to go over how they're doing and what's in store for the season. So overall, most of my seedlings are doing well. I am finally done dealing with thrips, but there is a new challenge ahead, and that is taking my orchid seedlings through the winter season and having them grow on and continue. These plants tend to be more sensitive to temperature fluctuations and stresses, and once they are stressed, they are a little bit harder to bring back to a healthy state because these seedlings are quite young and they're quite vulnerable. So for the winter season, I am putting them all on a heat mat so that the temperature stays above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, I've added a grow light so that these plants can get enough light and energy during this winter season. I want them to grow on through the winter season well without slowing down. So I'm going to start with the oldest plants first and then go on towards the newest ones. So first is the LC Featherrae crossed with warneri. This is a Cattleya type, and currently I have about 5 plants left, and I've moved them over to my outdoor grow tent. These plants are about a year old now, and I think they're able to handle slightly cooler temperatures, so I'm putting them outside to see how they do for the winter season. Next is the Cleisocentron gokusingii. This one is considered more of a Vanda type orchid, although it is slightly more cool growing. I've moved them over to my west facing windowsill to get a little bit more light and more heat so that they can continue growing throughout the winter season. So far, they're looking really good. The growth has slowed down a little bit, so I am just going to keep my eye on them and hopefully they will continue to pull through. The Rhyncholaelia glauca has also been moved to the west-facing windowsill. I want them to get as much light as possible, and since this one is also considered a Cattleya type, I think they will do much better with more sun and hopefully more warmth. The Phalaenopsis bastianii are doing great. I had to repot a couple of them because I noticed that the moss started to degrade, so I had to repot them in a community pot. I also placed most of these on the seedling heat mat and under the grow lights because they tend to like warmer temperatures throughout the winter season. The Phal bastianii are considered summer blooming phals, so the warmer I can keep them during the winter season, the better they will grow. So the Ascocentron Adisak Happiness is a Vanda type orchid, and I had to deal with thrips a lot on these plants, so they aren't looking its best, but I think I'm finally done with the pests, so I think it should be able to grow on well. I've had to remove a couple of the lower leaves of these plants because they were dried and brown, and I think by removing any dead material, it'll prevent any pests from taking up residence. The 2 varieties of the Chysis laevis definitely suffered the most from the thrips attack. I had to repot almost all of these once again because I noticed that the moss wasn't doing well. It was starting to degrade, and also I think the Chysis were starting to go dormant, so it was dropping a lot of leaves, and right now they're mostly leafless bulbs and they don't seem to be doing much. I'm going to keep my eye out on them, but right now these are the seedlings that are not doing the best in my care. So next I got 2 flasks from Troy Meyer's conservatory. I recently picked up the Laelia speciosa and the Laelia autumnalis. Now, both of these plants are considered part of the Cattleya alliance. Laelias tend to be a little bit more temperature tolerant, and so I'm hoping that I do a lot better with these than some of the other seedlings I had in the past. These plants came bare root, fresh out of the agar flask and then shipped over to me. I ended up potting one of them in a small bark and perlite mix, and the other one I potted up in a mix of coconut husk and perlite. So far, I didn't have to do any acclimation for these plants. I just potted them up, and then I put them under the grow light and heat mat, and then I just kind of let it go. So far, it's been about almost 2 weeks for these plants, and they seem to be adjusting fine. There hasn't been any major changes to these plants. I just noticed maybe 1 or 2 leaves are starting to yellow and or fall off, but on the whole, these plants are looking really healthy and very vigorous. So that is the update on all of my seedlings. Once again, I am fairly new to growing seedlings and I don't have the perfect environment for them yet, but I'm hoping that as I continue, I will get better at this, and I'm just going to share my experience growing these plants with all of you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to follow along on my orchid growing journey. If you want to see more updates on my orchid seedlings, please click on the playlist for orchid seedlings and follow along. I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!